Hello there. Today I'm taking a look at a South African sweet wine. So this is Kaapzicht 2021 Hanepoot Jerepigo. Hanepoort, a grape quite widely grown in the Cape, is actually Muscat of Alexandria. And this word Jeripiko actually proves that this isn't, in the strictest technical sense of the word, a wine. Jeripiko essentially means mistella. So this has been created by harvesting fresh Muscat of Alexandria grapes, destemming them, crushing them, allowing them to macerate with the skins in the juice, and actually adding enzymes to encourage that for a day, then pressing it, and while it is still juice, before any fermentation has started, neutral grape spirit is added to increase the alcohol up to 17.5% and prevent any fermentation whatsoever. So essentially, grape juice to which alcohol has been added to stabilise it. And this is a fairly traditional style in the Cape region. As a property, Kaapzicht's history dates back to 1946, and they're well known for having some of the oldest Chenin Blanc grapes in South Africa, with a plot that was planted in 1947. Definitely in 1946, Major David Steyler comes back, having fought in the Second World War, decides he doesn't want to continue with the livestock farming that he'd done pre-war. He wants to live closer to Stellenbosh. He buys a farm called Roosendaal in Bottelay and starts planting vines. I don't think it's entirely a wine estate at this stage. I think it was a mixed farming venture. But the family are quite progressive in this situation, both with their plantings of Chenin Blanc and also planting of Pinotage at a stage when Pinotage wasn't particularly well known. In 1984, they took a very brave step. Where they'd been supplying most of their wine to the Stellenbosch farmers' winery and marketing it that way, they decided to withdraw from the cooperative and actually were technically thrown out in 1987. But so quite a big risk at a time when there were political barriers to South Africa exporting her wine to the world. It was a brave step to be marketing and selling their own wines, but one I think they've done very successfully. And today, Danny Steyler Jr., the winemaker, is the fourth generation of his family involved in producing wines at this particular farm. The Hanepoort, the Muscat of Alexandria they've got, grows here as bush vines. The soils are weathered granite over gravel with a subsoil of crumbly clay. Yields kept lowish at 5 tonnes per hectare, and the fruit, being bush vines, is all picked by hand in the cool of the morning to ensure the heat can't promote oxidation in the fruit as it travels to the winery. Once at the winery, the fruit's destemmed, it's crushed, and as I say, spends 24 hours with the skins macerating in the juice, with the help of enzymes to help pull flavours out of that. I think it's a fairly common practice, but it's one that winemakers don't often admit to. The fruit would be kept cool to prevent fermentation from starting. After 24 hours, the grapes were pressed, the juice was allowed to settle, and to help that, a fining agent called bentonite was used. Now, if you're a vegan, for instance, you might be worried about finings, but no, bentonite is a clay, so it's simply a means of adding something to the wine that will combine with the proteins in the wine and just allow those to fall out. So it's quite a gentle processing aid. The wine is then fortified up to 17.5% by the addition of a neutral grape spirit. Now, I'm assuming there must be some subsequent adjustment made, maybe to the sweetness or something, by adding back further grape juice, because the wine has actually been bottled at 16.5% alcohol. But anyway, those are the statistics for you. I don't see any evidence in the notes that I've read that there'd be any sort of aging afterwards. I'm not quite sure why you'd want to, because actually this is trying to capture the beautiful aromatic grapiness of the Hanepoort, the Muscat of Alexandria grapes, and keep that into the wine. I've seen the suggestion that this is a wine that could age for 30 years. I'm intrigued by that, because in honesty, if you're looking for fresh fruit flavour, that would seem to be counterintuitive to that. But actually, I suppose the blending of the spirit and the fruit is probably quite important. So let's see what we think of the wine, shall we? Here we've got a medium yellow, perhaps almost more to a sort of strawish note. It's not a sort of a bright, dazzling yellow. As a swirl, here you really are, not surprisingly, with 16.5% alcohol, and I believe something like 190 grams per litre of sugar. There are very obvious tears forming on the glass. So let's have a look at the aromas, shall we? Instantly, the aromas are sultanas and raisins, that sort of dried grape notes. There are also hints, though, of, I don't know, maybe marzipan or something like that. touches of honey. There's a real richness to it. And there are notes of the sort of spiritiness there as well. So let's taste and see what we make of it. That's very sweet. As I say, 190 grams per litre of sugar, that's quite high. There's a richness and a roundness and almost slightly syrupy nature to the wine. But at the same time, there is a nice freshness that's adding a juicy lift to the fruit. And while the notes are predominantly muscatty, grapey, sultana notes, there's almost a sort of a slightly lifted orangey note coming through. Orange peel, sort of mandarin oranges, that sort of note, just quite delicately at the back. There's sort of spicy notes of ginger. Maybe some of that spiciness is actually the spirit coming through, because the alcohol is quite present. To a large extent, it's unified with the fruit because the fruit is lovely and rounded. But I think that is probably, which, if you want to age this, is probably what's going to settle down and round out, and the wine will become more honeyed. There are some lovely honeyed notes, should have mentioned those, and rich and round. But actually, I think as a wine for drinking now, its freshness is beautiful. I think it would beautifully accompany hard cheeses, salty blue cheeses, softer cheeses, that sort of thing. Maybe with nuts, with almonds, that sort of thing as a pre-dinner drink. Actually, it'd be lovely. So yes, I hope you find this interesting. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, do please like and share. Do leave your comments. We'd love to hear what you think about either this wine or other wines that you've tried of this kind. Do consider signing up and joining us on YouTube. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you again for another tasting soon. Bye now.